Morning.
Morning.
Morning all.
SA Plastic Pacts aligns with my personal view to be part of a solution to take better care of our planet. I'm fortunate to work for an organization like Danone that acknowledges that the planet and the food we eat is interconnected. At Danone, we welcome working with partners that have our shared values and vision to create a movement for the food revolution that makes healthy food using the planet's resources responsibly. We already have 80% of our packaging designed for recyclability. We continue to focus on circularity, making sure that we can reuse our packaging into our existing packs or giving our packaging a second life. Collaborating with Pact SA allows us to work with like-minded industries to be a force for good. There is power in the collective to share best practices and to help speed up our efforts to save the planet and how we make our food and making our business more sustainable.
Hi, my name is Sally Kazner. I'm a founding director of the African Circular Economy Network, which is a non-profit company based in Cape Town, but representing many countries within the African continent. We are knowledge sharing, researching, and networking platform engaged in the just transition to circularity.
Hello, I'm Suzanne Karcher and equally a founding director of ASIAN. And the establishment of ASIAN was partially inspired while I was attending in 2015 the World Resources Forum conference in Davos. It became clear that the whole of Europe was talking already about the circular economy being this future panacea for all our global economic and environmental problems. But there was no African voice at the time in the debate, and that obviously had to change.
So for me personally, the Plastics Pact shows private sector commitment from brands to shift to a circular plastics economy through measurable targets, which is a step in the right direction.
Well, I'm excited about the South African Plastic Pact because it gives me hope for real systemic change, because it's based on clearly defined and ambitious targets and goals, and you either make them and you meet them or not. So there's no gray in between possible, which makes all stakeholders directly accountable. And what I also like is the expanded vision that tackling single-use plastic pollution might need to avoid some of them altogether. That shows me that this initiative is not designed as a quick fix.
My name is Michelle Penlington, Marketing and Sustainability Executive for Polyoak Packaging, a founding member of the South African Plastics Pact. For me, the South African Plastics Pact is my opportunity to contribute towards safeguarding the planetary operating space needed for humanity to thrive for generations to come, including for my own children. It's one tasty bite towards eating the entire elephant.
My name is Devin Galtree and I'm the Group Packaging Manager for the SPAR Group South Africa. Our planet is suffering and the SA Plastics Pact gives me hope that there is a collaborative movement amongst like-minded people with a common purpose. And that purpose is taking steps and making commitments to end plastic waste.
Hello, I'm Lauren Lecoq. I'm the Project Manager for the Circular Plastics Economy Program at WWF South Africa. The narrative up until now in the plastic space is that consumers need to take sole responsibility for the littering and the plastic pollution in the environment. However, what I feel is that the South African Plastics Pact is an initiative where industry can actually start taking accountability for the plastic packaging that they place out into the market and start looking for solutions to try and stop this leakage into the environment and create plastic packaging.
Hello everyone, my name is Sinetemba Kameni and I represent Tiger Brands as a member of the South African Plastic Pact. In fact, Tiger Brands is one of the founding members. I occupy a role of looking after the sustainability within the packaging space for Tiger. And being part of the South African Plastic Pact for us is really a great milestone in terms of trying to be on the solution side of things, not being part of the problem. And really being proactive, working together with the other teams, working together with the external bodies, forming great relationships as we embark on a journey of achieving circular economy within the South African context. We know that it's going to be a challenge. We know that it's going to be not easy. It's going to require extra hands. It's going to require some investments. It's going to require us to really be out of our comfort zone. But we have joined the South African Plastic Pact because we are aligned as well with the targets that are being set. And it's really being part of the teams themselves. It's really being part of the solution, as I've said before, in trying to achieve circular economy. We do that as a Tiger, being one of the food producers in South Africa. We are using plastic quite a lot, and by forming part of the South African Plastic Pact, we know that we have started the journey already of coming up with solutions so that we can reverse the problem with plastic pollution that we have in South Africa. And by doing so, we know that we are preparing a brighter future for generations to come. And it is really, really, really exciting for us to be working with such an amazing team within the South African Plastic Pact. I think the thinking and the commitment, you can feel it within the teams themselves. Everyone is committed, and which really pushes us to push the boundaries as well as Tiger Brands. So we're hoping the South African Plastic Pact will grow from strength to strength, and we are all in this together, and we take it one project at a time. Thank you very much.
So we are at 10:05. So thank you so much for joining us at our first NEGMA conference. We are very, very excited to have you all in our virtual room. So unfortunately, we can't meet face to face, but I think we actually get better access. So we're very excited. And I just want to appreciate this group for your passion, for your excitement, your engagement with us as the SA Plastics Pact. And we are looking forward to really good engagement and discussion over the next few days. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Quinton Williams. Quinton Williams is the business manager at Polyco, but there's something truly circular about Quinton today. So Quinton, when he was at Green Cape, he started us on this plastic pack journey. So Quinton, it was your passion and your insight and your excellence in terms of circular economy and your understanding of the system that has us here today. So thank you very much. And we're thrilled that you now are under Mandy's team of Polyco and that you remain a key player in the space and a good friend of ours. Thanks so much, and I'll hand over to Quinton.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the South African Plastic Pact. It was really nice seeing the member videos. I can say, honestly, everyone has a face for the TV and also a voice for the radio. Everyone's so professional. If you see mine, you'll see how scruffy I looked. And I'm also reading, and my eyes are not focused on the camera. I'm just so proud how everyone's videos look so great. But like Kirsten says, this is the conference for the South African Plastics Pact, and the theme is the collaboration for a circular future. And the reason why the word collaboration is front of a circular future is that we understand that we cannot do this alone. Everyone has to play a part on the value chain or the value circularity to meet our goals. The Pact is locally developed, and we have received assistance with international organizations which have global experience to help us along the way, both in the developed and the developing world. And the South African Pact is also within a large global network where we continue to learn from and also to provide learnings to others. and this is really a good place to be. So what can we expect for the conference? So the conference is taking place over 3 days. There'll be 3 2-hour sessions. Today we will get an overview of the SA Plastic Pact, plotting the journey, which is members only. We will hear about the roadmap. We'll hear from the action groups where all the work has been happening. On the 8th of October, we will start understanding the network and the context of our mission. This will be an open session, so it will not only be members. We will hear from industry leads in terms of what's happening and how the pact fits in globally and all more context. And then on the 13th, that will be our last day, we'll have a reflect and discussion session, which is members only once again. And this is going to be learning based, learning from what others have done and reflect on how we can pick up those learnings and taking it forward. So broadly, the rules for today, you're welcome to keep your videos on, but please mute yourself so there's no disruption to the presenters. When there are time for Q&A, myself or Oliver or Kirsten from SA Plastic Pact will point out who has raised their hands. So the raise hand function is if you go into participants at the bottom of your screen, and then you see the list of participants, and then that's where you can raise your hand, and we'll be monitoring that for anyone that wants to make a question. And then we will let you know by name, and then you can unmute yourself and then ask your question. And while you're speaking, if you have not used your video, please put your video on for the recording of the session, which has commenced. We are recording the session. And then once you're done, you can unmute yourself again. I mean, you can mute yourself again. Oh, one more thing. When you do speak, please state your name and your company you're from. And if you haven't done so already in the chat, please also introduce yourself, because that will be saved later and we can keep a track record of who is attending. Then for today, we will be hearing from Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and then that will be followed up with from RAP. That will be giving us the global context and how the Plastic Pact fits in globally and learning from insights elsewhere. Then we will be celebrating our new members, and then Kirsten will be presenting on the roadmap. Then we'll have a 5-minute break, and then we'll get into the action groups. And this is where all the behind the scenes workings are happening on, and we will get an update from all the chairpersons which are managing those groups. And then we'll have a Q&A session where you guys can ask your questions. So I will be handing over now to Juliet. Juliet is a project manager for the Global Plastics Network with a new plastic economy team at Ellen MacArthur. She supports the development of national and regional initiatives in Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe and North America, and facilitates cross-value chain collaboration within and between the plastic pacts to drive a collective action, implementing local solutions to build on a circular economy for plastics. Before Juliet joined Ellen MacArthur Foundation, she worked as a science and technology consultant in Cambridge, UK, and she has a degree in biology with Spanish for Science for Imperial College London. Juliet, I will hand over to you now, and then I will mute myself.
Thanks, Quentin. Can you see my screen? Great, I'm seeing a thumbs up, fantastic. Hi everyone, I've met many of you before, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Juliet Lennon, sorry, and I'm part of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's new Plastics Economy team. And it's really fantastic to be with you all today for this milestone of the Pact. It's been an absolute pleasure to support the South African Plastics Pact on the journey so far, from working with WWF alongside SAPRO and RAP all the way to the launch back in January. And since then, working with Green Cape through the Global Plastics Pact network to drive collective action to make progress towards your ambitious 2025 targets. And as you take this next step on the journey, launching the Pact's action plan, the roadmap to 2025, linking activities to expected outcomes, this member conference is a really important opportunity to reflect on where you are today and what we'll do together to tackle plastic waste and pollution at its source in South Africa. But first, let's take a step back and remind ourselves why we're on this journey, because it is a journey. And today, our global economy can clearly be described as a take, make, waste linear economy. It's a very wasteful system, and it's true not just for plastics, but for our entire economy. And plastic packaging has become perhaps one of the most iconic examples of this wasteful system. But plastics are great materials. They protect our food, they make it last longer, they can be molded into different shapes, they're strong, they're durable, but the system in which this material is used is still predominantly linear. And according to our 2016 research, if we continue on like this, by 2050, there could be more plastics than fish in the ocean. And this statistic has been reinforced by the Breaking the Plastic Wave study that was published in July this year by the Pew Charitable Trust and Systemic, to which the Ellen MacArthur Foundation was a thought partner. And we'll hear more about this study in the Thursday session of the member conference. But in brief, it shows that plastic pollution is rapidly outpacing our efforts to stop it. By 2040, if we fail to act, the volume of plastic in the market will double, the annual volume of plastic entering the ocean will almost triple, and the ocean plastic stocks will quadruple. So as the drawbacks of this system are becoming increasingly visible, it's clear that we need to change how we do things. So we put forward a vision for a plastic system that works, a new plastics economy based on circular economy principles. And this is a vision for a world where waste and pollution are designed out of our plastic system, where products and materials are kept in use, and where we protect and restore our environment. And today, through the New Plastics Economy Global Commitment and the network of plastics pacts around the world, we have over 1,000 organizations committed and working towards this vision and concrete, ambitious targets to 2025. And as a member of the South African Plastics Pact, you've joined them. You're working towards this shared vision to address plastic waste and pollution at its source, fundamentally rethinking the way we design, use, and reuse plastic by eliminating the problematic and unnecessary items we don't need, innovating so the plastic we do need can be safely reused, recycled, or composted, and circulating everything we use to keep it in the economy and out of the environment. And as we look for ways to recover from the economic shock of coronavirus, the circular economy presents opportunities to build a more resilient and regenerative economy that is better than the one we had, addressing global challenges while helping us restore the environment, create jobs, and benefit society. The circular economy approach set out here, which considers every stage of a product's journey before and after it reaches a customer, is not only vital to stopping plastic pollution, but as the Breaking the Plastic Wave study shows, it offers us the strongest economic, social, and climate benefits. Compared with business as usual, the circular economy has the potential to generate savings of $200 billion a year, reduce greenhouse gases by 25%, and create 700,000 net additional jobs by 2040, making it a clear opportunity to build back better. Until now, many efforts to tackle plastic pollution have focused on improving waste management or cleanups. Others have focused only on bans and plastic reduction, but none of these will work in isolation. We need the comprehensive circular economy approach with both upstream and downstream solutions. And going from today's linear system to such a circular economy is a major shift. And it is clear that to achieve a world where plastic never becomes waste or pollution, it will take unprecedented levels of innovation and collaboration, where the entire value chain, all actors in the system collaborate, and where actions are taken with the perspective of the entire system in mind. So to achieve this ambitious vision, we need unprecedented levels of collaboration, both at a global level, but also at national level, with solutions tailored to each and every local context. At the global level, the New Plastics Economy Global Commitment, launched in 2018 in collaboration with the UN Environment, unites over 500 businesses, governments, and other organizations behind the common vision and targets to address plastic waste and pollution at its source. The first progress report was published in October 2019, which showed many business and government signatories laying the foundations to scale and accelerate action and have made initial progress against their targets. And the second annual progress report will be released next month in November with an update on the progress made by signatories. Alongside this global action, there's the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's Global Plastics Pact Network, led with the support of WRAP. It's a network of initiatives that bring together an additional 550 plus key stakeholders at national or regional level, including yourselves, the members of the South African Plastics Pact, to implement solutions towards a circular economy for plastic. And this local level action is so crucial because every country is different, starting from a different baseline with different challenges. So the way we get there and the actual solutions on the ground will look different from Chile to the US, from Portugal to South Africa. And today there are 9 launched plastics pacts around the world, in Europe, North America, Latin America, and Africa, with a pipeline of pacts developing across 6 continents. The South African Plastics Pact was the first African country to join our global initiative. It followed the UK Plastics Pact, which was the first to be launched as part of the network developed in collaboration with and led by WRAP, and then pacts in Chile, France, and the Netherlands followed. Since the launch of the South African Plastics Pact, others have also followed in Portugal, across the entire European Economic Area, Poland, and the United States. And each of these pacts is led by a local lead organization, which brings together businesses, policymakers, and NGOs to work towards the common vision and the concrete set of ambitious 2025 targets, which are set relative to your local context and against which progress is reported every year. Each pact is a pre-competitive platform of industry-led innovation. Together, the stakeholders, through shared ambition, combined expertise, and collaboration, create national solutions to plastic waste and pollution. And many activities are underway across plastics pacts in the network. Roadmaps to 2025 have been published by the UK and Chile, and now South Africa is following, with others in development in France and Portugal. There are over 30 local working groups up and running across the pacts in the network to tackle key challenges to make progress on topics like scaling reuse models, eliminating problematic and unnecessary items, incorporating more recycled content, and many more. And alongside which we see many additional activities such as the Reuse Week in Portugal and pilots in the Netherlands. And not only does the South African Plastics Pact provide this platform for collaboration at national level between key stakeholders in the market, it will be able to collaborate with others in the network around the world, exchanging learnings and best practices between pacts in different countries, receiving the latest circular economy insights and global updates from the foundation, celebrating success stories of South Africa beyond your borders for others to learn from, and accelerating the transition to a circular economy for plastics. And one practical way this occurs is the network exchange calls organized to discuss the common challenges that are being faced by pacts around the world, to exchange learnings and best practices. And we've already had many on reuse, communications, roadmaps, and others. Not only that, but you, the pact members yourselves, have access to specific Ellen MacArthur Foundation and New Plastics Economy events. Just a few weeks ago, all Plastic Pact members were invited to attend a webinar on the Breaking the Plastics Wave study. And next month, you're invited to the launch event of the second New Plastics Economy Global Commitment Report to hear the progress made at global level and our perspective on what other action is needed. And you also receive through Green Cape new guidance documents from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. Previous included the reuse book, and next month in November, to support your progress towards Target 1, eliminating problematic and unnecessary plastic packaging, we'll be publishing an upstream innovation guide for you. So in closing, we are on a journey to address plastic waste and pollution. There is no one simple solution or quick fix. And while we're already seeing actors around the world take significant action, this needs to continue at speed and scale to match the scale of the problem. As you launch your roadmap to 2025, the action plan for your pact, now is the time to take this collective action. We know, and we heard from the members earlier, addressing plastic waste and pollution in South Africa will require bold action. So as we progress on this journey, I encourage you to think beyond where we are today. Think beyond making small incremental tweaks in today's linear system, and instead think outside of what's the best solution in the current system and ask yourself, can this product be delivered in a completely new way? Is the current packaging the best for this product? And we look forward to continuing to support Green Cape and the South African Plastics Pact to build a circular economy for plastics in South Africa. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Juliet, for the fantastic presentation on the network of the Plastics Pact and how South Africa fits in and where we can draw from learnings and also put out learnings for other pacts to learn from us. Now I'm going to move over to our next presenter, Peter Skelton from RAP. Peter has a broad knowledge on environmental issues from over 16 years at RAP and over 12 years in marketing and product development experience from the UK grocery sector. Peter has led the development and business recruitment and launch of the UK Plastics Pact in 2018, the first Plastics Pact that was arranged. Peter also worked on all 4 phases of RAP's Cool Tart commitment, working extensively with leading retailers and brands to implement initiatives that deliver efficiencies and environmental improvements in their packaging, food waste and recycling. Peter has helped initiate the South African Plastics Pact and is now working on supporting the pact as well as partnering with organizations to initiate plastic pacts in Kenya and India. Peter has a wide knowledge of packaging related issues, having led the development of packaging and recycling guidelines, biopolymer packaging, on-pack recycling labels, recycled PET in packaging, and numerous packaging optimization and recyclability projects. Thank you, Peter, for bringing your expertise, and I'll hand over you and mute myself right now.
Thank you very much, Quinton, and thank you, Kirsten. Sorry, it's rather a long-winded bio, so I've been all of it to be read out. And thank you, Juliet, for setting the scene. That's really, really helpful. So I'm really sorry I can't be there in person. Many of you know me, or my colleague Nora, who's also online, and we're really looking forward to supporting you on this conference, and we'll be attending all the sessions. So we were reflecting when we put these slides together, Nora and I, in terms of the journey we'd been on, you know, from the initial call less than 2 years ago with Johan from SAPRO and John Duncan from WWF, all the way through the journey with you guys. And so it's great to be here today at your first member conference. And it's not, we have to just stress what a collective effort this has been. I mean, the South African Plastics Pact would not be where it is today without everyone on this screen who are leading on it, who initiated it, who are signed up to it, crucially, who've helped fund it from the early days. And it's been a huge collective effort. And I think it just shows the spirit of collaboration within the Pact, but also internationally to get the Pact up and running. Particularly the UN SLE program, the Sustainable Lifestyles program, that really kicked off the funding to get the conversations flowing. Right the way through to Marva, who also are supporting the Pact going forward in the future. So it just shows the collective effort, but also we would not have a Pact without the members and supporters who've signed up to it. So I think it's a really important shout out to all the businesses on the call today. And as Juliet has said, and as Quinton said, the South African Plastic Pact has come a long way, but so has a lot of the conversations that we've been having at RAP through our funders with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation to see if the Plastic Pact model can resonate with other countries. And this map has just blossomed since we originally started the journey with South Africa. And what's happened is people have looked at plastics pacts around the world, but particularly looking at South African plastics pacts and said, actually, we can identify with that, and we want to see whether that model can work in our country. So we are now working with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and with support from MAVA to initiate plastics pacts in Kenya and to see whether Senegal and Morocco within Africa are also appropriate for a plastics pact. And as we've said, we're having early discussions and kicking off plastics pacts in India, in Malaysia, and there's also plastic pacts happening in Australasia and the Pacific Islands. But today, South African Plastics Pact is still the only plastics pact in the whole of Asia and the whole of Africa. And that's quite a sobering thought. And it just shows the leadership that you're taking and actually the eyes and sort of the momentum we want to support the Plastics Pact with, because actually we need the South African Plastics Pact to be a beacon for other countries who might have similar systems in terms of informal waste picking, in terms of in different demographics. So this is where it's crucial that, and it's great to see today, the South African Plastics Pact develop. It's not been an easy journey, and those of us who've been with you on this, we know we can contest to that, but I think it's also a huge shout out to Green Cape, to the members, to being through this, sticking on this journey, particularly through the coronavirus period, and not letting that stop progress. In our discussions around the world, where we're working with partners such as Green Cape to initiate pacts, we come across time and time again the same systemic challenges that we grapple with in the UK, and you do in South Africa and every country. And it's different, slightly different in different countries in terms of different proportions, but we all face these same challenges of problematic unnecessary plastic, not having enough collection, sorting, and recycling, not having maybe the citizen engagement, the collection infrastructure, the behaviours that we all really want to aspire to. And then we don't have the end markets to create the demand for systemic cyclic plastics. Wherever we work, and this is the benefit of having the network, because wherever we are, we can collaborate, we can share, we can save resource and time and money, because we have very common challenges wherever we go around the world. And I also wanted just to reflect on some of the insights and how, having worked in South Africa and other plastics pacts with the RAP team, we come across these same opportunities and also sort of recipes for success. You know, what we do find is that the plastics pact model has huge resonance from businesses, from governments, and actually has a lot of commonality. The funding is crucial, particularly where we have you know, a demand for some external funding to get a plastics pact scoped and up and running and launched. That is crucial. So we really, again, thank the funders who've helped get us to where we are today. You are blessed to have Green Cape in South Africa. We struggle to find those respected local independent partners who can run a plastics pact, because that's what you need. And often that is one of the biggest challenges we have when we're trying to initiate a plastics pact globally. Having membership from the whole value chain, again, it's a crucial difference from the plastics pacts to many other initiatives that might appear and have been in the past. But they're about action, they're about delivery, and they're about getting things done, and they're not a talking shop. And actually, when we had the initial discussions a year ago when we were in South Africa with Nora, I remember businesses saying, we do not want or need another talking shop. We need something that's about action and change. And that's great to see so much of that happening in South Africa. And also it's about scale, and having the scale of production and of collections is also important where we go. Having government support and policy alignment, again, is fantastic. And we see in many pacts around the world where they're starting a pact, there's also discussions with their policy advisors about reforming EPR. And again, a pact and EPR reform going hand in hand and going in the same direction, again, is a really strong message we take. So this is a busy slide, and I won't go through all of it, but just shows this is the journey most plastics pacts take, from the vision, from the targets, all the way through to action and reporting. And it is fantastic in 8 short months with all the challenges of coronavirus that the South African Plastics Pact team and we collectively have gone from today publishing a roadmap. You've already kicked off a number of very well engaged and supported action groups. You've initiated projects on reuse, on reporting process in 8 months. It is a fantastic achievement, and you should be applauded for that. And now we turn to the next step, which is about action. And I think that's where the insights, certainly from the UK, people will be looking at you now and saying, okay, now what has changed in store, in your depots? And then that's where hopefully we want to see in the next 6 to 12 months, lots of tangible change that we can really use to showcase to other packs globally. And this is what was the experience of the roadmap in the UK. We published ours, like you, 6 or 7 months after launch, and it was a catalyst for change. So I applaud you for having progressed to that fast in South Africa as well. And some of the changes that the UK Plastics Pact are now manifesting itself in, there's lots of them, and we won't go lots of them in detail today, but from packaging design, from polymer choice, from a huge increase in the demand for recycled content. That has all signaled in the roadmap and send the right signals to businesses to take those moves. We've seen new business models being a catalyst in the UK, things like reuse and refill. We've seen record levels of engagement from local authorities, municipalities and citizens in our National Recycle Week. We've also seen, crucially, £100 million of private equity being invested in new infrastructure in the UK because of particularly that crucial target of demanding recycled content back into packaging. So it creates the investment landscape for businesses and investors to say, actually, we now need that infrastructure in the UK. And most encouragingly, perhaps, we've seen policymakers align their policies with the Plastics Pact's targets and direction. So again, that's a very, hopefully that will also be what we see in South Africa as well. So as well as action, it's also about tracking action and demonstrating progress. And so again, I know that's one of the next milestones in the South African Plastics Pact, and RAPS helps with that in terms of the importance of measuring and monitoring and showcasing what you're doing, whether it's qualitative in terms of some of those pack changes or quantitative in terms of the hard data. And this figure of 1 billion items of single-use and problematic plastic. So by measuring and asking the members, what can you eliminate in our list of target 1 items, we have that figure of 1 billion items, which businesses have pledged to eliminate. And we'll be publishing our 1 year on report next month, and to show the progress, not just on that target, but on all 4 targets. So again, for those businesses in the room, I think it's important. It's an effort, it's time consuming, but actually it's crucial that we do put that effort in to make sure that the Plastics Pact is shown and demonstrates change and progress. I just want to finish on really from RAP's point of view, what do we see as next and how do we as a team go forward? So I think we've seen from recent research actually published by Kantar just a few weeks ago, 65,000 consumers were panelled globally, and actually plastics after climate change still came out as a huge issue of consumer concern. Different in different countries, obviously, but actually they also, the message was, they're looking for brands and retailers to try and take the lead and do more on plastic. So I think that means that despite the challenges of COVID and the coronavirus globally, the plastic issue has not gone away. And we're certainly seeing that from our interest in plastics packs. The collaboration, having 4 potential plastics packs in Africa has a great area of collaboration. And again, we're showing that also beyond Africa. And I think that's where we want to see and manifest through the Ellen MacArthur Foundation network and beyond. How can we learn from other countries and share what we're doing with other countries? We're blessed to have had support to support the be part of the South African team to date. And we're blessed also the fact we're going to have funding from Marva to support you in the next 18 months to 2 years. So we're really here with you on this journey. But we're not stopping there, and we'll be looking at see if we can unlock other interesting investment opportunities to support the Pact. So I think I just want to end on saying it's been a fantastic journey. We've achieved so much in a short time against adversity. But I think also that message of the eyes of the world, as they are on the UK, are on South Africa. So we're here with you to join you in the next part of the journey but let's make sure this is a really successful journey. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Fantastic presentation. And it's really meant a lot for us as the SA Plastics Pact to have RAP and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation to support us and to help us along the way. So thank you for your presentations, Juliet and Peter, and also thank you for your collaboration and your support along this journey. We're now going to go into the next section, which is the welcoming of the new members. But before doing that, I think it is important also to give credit to the members that have been with us in the Pact since the beginning. So I'm just going to quickly show you all the, I need to, first swap, is that better? First need to show you all the members that have been with us since the beginning. So this is the list of the all of the founding members. These are the list of members who are either involved in the production, retail, brand owning, or recycling of plastics. So these are really the guys who are handling the materials. And so, yeah, these have all been with us since the very beginning, and also to our supporting founding members. So these are the companies who have a stake in the field, but don't directly handle the plastics. And so, yeah, it's a long list of really heavy-hitting companies, and yeah, we are very proud to be affiliated with all of the founding members and the supporting founding members. But I want to just take a little bit of time to welcome in our new members. And the first one that I will be welcoming will be Chandru from Extrapet. Chandru couldn't make it, but here's a recording.
Good morning, everybody. I trust you're all well. Special thanks to Kirsten Oliver for this opportunity to address you as a new member. I am Chandru Wadhwani from Extrapet Recyclers. We primarily recycle PET and HDPE. After initially being skeptical about signing up PE bottles, and have done so for the last 20 years. After initially being skeptical about signing up, we saw the potential benefits of being part of this collective and took the plunge in August this year. And initial signs are that the engagement has been productive and looks like we are heading towards possible success in tackling the plastic waste pollution problem. We find far too often that there is the absence of recyclers in these engagements where there are several stakeholders, many of whom have their own agendas, understandably so. And any hope and aspiration to pivot off recycling as one of the solutions needs the engagement of the recyclers in this conversation. The synergies we hope to provide is that 20 years experience of recycling in South Africa. And while it's very PET centric, a lot of what we have learned and experienced probably transcends into not just the other plastics, but many of the other recyclables, which also we have learned and experienced probably transcends into not just the other plastics, but many of the other recyclables, which also pose a plastic waste problem. Our hope is that collectively, with our agendas, we can come to a collective understanding and translate talk into walk and materialize meaningful change, without which the main purpose of all of this is forgotten, is the benefit to the environment. So we are incredibly grateful to be part of this, and we look forward to meaningful and productive future engagements. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten, for sharing that screen. That was Chandru from Extrapet. And now I'm going to jump across to Barry Astropak. Douglas, are you there?
Yes,
Great. So Douglas is the business development manager from Barry Astropak. Barry Astropak is one of the converters that has joined us since January. They manufacture rigid packaging. And we're very, very pleased to have Barry Astropak join. Douglas, by way of introduction, could you tell us what does your organization wish to achieve through your membership to the Pact?
Barry Astropak's reason for becoming a member of the SA Plastics Pact is so that we can partner with and continue working and collaborating with our current and future customers, with other brand owners, raw material suppliers, and the recyclers, and other industry leaders to improve the collection of plastic waste and development of approved post-consumer recycled materials in applications that for our conversion side. This focus is also to align with our Barry Astropak and Barry Global Impact 2025 sustainability targets, and at the same time working with our customers to achieve their quite ambitious targets and strategies within their own businesses for 2025. These for ourselves include the reduction of our waste to landfill, the achievement of inclusion of at least 10% recycled content in all FMCG packaging we manufacture going forward, and the reduction of our greenhouse gas emissions by 25% by 2025. So in partnering with all of the members and collaborating with the industry leaders, that's obviously where we're trying to push from a Barry Astropak perspective to harness the best we can out of that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Douglas. Fantastic. Next up is Sally Ann Kastner from Circular Vision. Sally is the owner of Circular Vision, which is a supporting member. Sally, thank you for joining us. What key aspects will help us to reach our targets by 2025, in your opinion? You're muted, Sally.
Apologies, probably a good thing. I've got lots of noise here. Thanks, Kirsten, Oliver, and Quinton, and the SA Plastics Pact. Just a slight correction. I'm here representing the African Circular Economy Network, and we are a knowledge sharing and networking platform and a think tank essentially for circular economy strategy. I think for us, one of the essentials to success for this particular pact is the collaboration, and really scaling up the initiatives and working together, because I think without working together, we're not necessarily going to achieve some of the models that we need to put in place that are very different to what's currently in place at the moment. So I'm quite inspired because at this point in time, my experience has been that there's been a real willingness between the members to collaborate, which is really refreshing. And I think this is probably the first time that this has happened. So yeah, very encouraged by the pact thus far.
Thank you, Sally Ann. Very exciting indeed, and fantastic to have you and Asen on board. Sorry about getting confused. And then next up, I'd like to welcome Anton Hanekom. Anton, are you there? Anton is from Anton is from Plastics SA. He's the CEO, and they are one of our supporting members. So Anton, where do you see synergy between Plastics SA and SA Plastics Pact, and how can we further our collaboration?
Morning, and thank you for the opportunity. Yes, Plastics SA set in 4 or 5 years ago the aspirational vision of zero plastic to landfill environment by 2030. Also in January last year, we've created the South African Initiative to End Plastic Waste, with the main purpose is to find scalable solutions for the South African context and the South African challenge in order to stop plastic pollution. I think the activities of Plastics SA and the initiative span across a collaborative forum, including the extended value chain, the plastics packaging value chain. And we focus on things like infrastructure, technology, innovation, bioplastics. We talk about awareness and education. And I think that's where a lot of the touch points with the Pact is taking place as well. And therefore, the synergies are taking place on those levels. So we need to make sure that we engage, that we collaborate around these issues, and that we together enhance the activities of the different initiatives and the Pact in order to ensure that at the end of the day we deal with plastic pollution in the environment. I think it's critical in terms of the circular economy that we look at the full value chain and the full cycle and not just in one area. And it may be contentious, but I would like, and I think Juliet mentioned that as well, plastics is a very good material. It's probably one of the most environmentally friendly fit for purpose materials, but it should not end up in the environment. Our activity should be to ensure that what has been put on the market is collected, recycled, reused at the end of the day. So I look forward to the collaboration and engage around these issues to deal with the pollution in the environment.
Thank you, Anton. All right, next up is Louis Mahlango from the ARO Informal Collectors Association. They joined as a supporting member as well, and Louis is the organizer and coordinator of the ARO organization. Louis, are you online?
Yes, I am online, thank you.
Hi, Louis. So how do you think ARO can benefit from being a member of the Pact?
Good day, everyone. My name is Louis Mahlango. I am a member of ARO, as Oliver has said. We are very happy to be a member of the Pact because I think it is the only platform that is able to communicate directly with the industry, government, and reclaimers. So by working together, we will be able to achieve more goals and our voices will be heard like before. We never have an opportunity to talk to anybody about the work we do. And now I think this is a very good platform whereby we will be able to come up with solutions, because we are not here to give out problems, but we are here to come with solutions to the problem that we are currently facing of plastic pollution in South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. That's really great. And we appreciate the work that you do. Next up, I'd like to welcome Linke Geerstein. She is from RCL Foods. They are a brand owner and a food manufacturer. And Linke is a packaging specialist. So she really represents a lot of specialized intel and provides a lot of value to the Pact. Linke, are you there?
I am. Thank you, Oliver.
Hi.
So could you, everyone else? Thank you.
So could you tell us what it means to you to be a part of this collective?
Yeah, absolutely. Joining the South African Plastics Pact for RCL is really about being part of a positive shift in the way South Africa develops our packaging and manages our waste, excuse me. At the end of the day, I suppose responsible brands succeed, right? So it only makes sense that we take responsibility for the plastics packaging we consume and where it ends up. And I must say, it's been encouraging to be part of a group of like-minded people who share our passion for ensuring packaging we develop has best purpose, which is the RCL vision, and doesn't negatively affect our beautiful country. So this isn't really a competitive advantage issue. It's the right thing to do, to share, so we all succeed. And I think that's the platform. Well, I know that's the platform that the South African Plastics Pact has provided us. And what I've appreciated about being part of the South African Plastics Pact forums is the openness, I think, and the honesty, really, and the freedom to speak our mind and share our opinions. Also willingness to listen and to learn. So thank you to you and Kirsten and the others that have supported the forums and put them together for us. For me, it's really a common ground of learning and growth. So for me, greenwashing really isn't an option. And RCL believe that where necessary, we should go slow to go fast to ensure what we do counts, you know, for the common good of the environment and everyone in it. So yeah, the pressure is on, and many other countries companies are far better set up or positioned to be far ahead in this journey. So that does have a tendency to be overwhelming, I would imagine. But we don't strive to be seen as better than others. We actually just strive to be better than we were yesterday. So I think just to end off, and also just a little bit of insight, I was away this weekend chasing daisies in the Western Cape, the ones that are still left. So I just wanted to leave a quote around how we feel on our journey, and just how grateful we are for being part of this pact, and the rest of you on here and learning from you. It's just, a flower does not think of competing with the flower next to it, it just blooms. Author unknown. Thank you.
That was a fantastic quote. And we very much appreciate having your collaboration and your expertise added into our field of daisies. We're moving right along to Chris Smith, who is the director of Pallet Plast. I saw that Chris shared his video, which I appreciate. Hi, Chris, good to see you. And thank you for signing up to the Pact and for joining us. Pallet Plast is a recycler who manufactures fantastic pallets. And by way of introducing yourself, could you answer, does your membership to the Pact bring new opportunities for growth?
Hi, Oliver, thanks very much for the opportunity. We've certainly seen since our joining of the Pact, our business shift slightly, which has been quite interesting. Traditionally, we were a source and sell business, i.e. source the material and sell on our finished product. And we've been able to establish a number of circular economies since our joining of the Pact with members in the Pact. So we have certainly seen opportunities from being a member. We also have various sort of circular opportunities that we are working on for a couple of further deals, which we're quite excited about. I think if I could touch on what Juliet said in her presentation, as well as that collaboration is going to be absolutely key here, and the previous introduction as well. Honesty and not greenwashing is absolutely essential, and it's really a great a great feat for you guys to be so professional and run this with great intent. So we're very thankful for that.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, and also great to have you guys on board. Next up is Clover, and we're going to be hearing from Francois van der Walt. Francois, are you here? Francois is going to dial in. Ah, fantastic.
Yes,
right.
Good morning, Oliver.
So Francois is the manager of the Product and Packaging Development Department at Clover, and we're very happy to have you signed on as our latest member. And Francois, could you answer, what are the implications of signing up to this membership for a company like Clover? What would that mean for you?
So yes, good morning, Clover, Oliver, and everyone. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to say a few words. I'm sure most of you know Clover as a leading branded food and beverage group. We operate in South Africa and selected African countries. And yeah, our aim is to deliver, quality products to our trusting consumers through our network, and what we strive in saying with our way better operations. And it's in this way better strategy that high quality packaging materials are an essential and crucial tool that enable us to distribute our products. Hence, therefore, we are very aware of the importance of packaging, and specifically the plastic packaging in achieving these goals. We also acknowledge that for all the benefits that plastic have, there are negative impacts with irresponsible consumption, or rather disposal and recycling of the plastics, which has far-reaching and damaging effects on our environment. So our methodology overall in reducing our impact as a business on the environment is applied sort of across all of our divisions in the business, ranging from factory efficiencies, manufacturing processes, packaging choices, which is specifically related to the Pact, and distribution approaches. So overall, becoming part of the Plastic Pact, very excited to have joined. We know it poses an exciting opportunity also for us to link with, which a few of you have said, with like-minded organizations to change the way that producers and consumers view plastic. I think that is very important for us to try and also change that mindset. So yeah, we're looking forward to being part of establishing a circular economy in South Africa and working with you guys to achieve the targets and goals set to us. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity again.
Thanks, Francois. Great to have you on board. And then last but not least, we have got the Coca-Cola Beverage South Africa group. So Stan couldn't make it, but David, are you there? Could you stand in for Stan? So, there you are.
Standing in for Stan.
There we go. Right, so Coca-Cola is also a brand owner and a beverage manufacturer. And David, could you tell us if you've had any early insights from your experience of the SA Pact so far?
Sure, thanks, Oliver. I think some people know we were not part of the original members, and really that was about making sure that what we committed to was something that was actually going to be achieved. As a Coca-Cola company, we have a lot of global commitments, and in many cases, these are 100% aligned to both of the principles of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and therefore to Plastics Pact. So there's a very strong alignment between ourselves and Pact. And what we really wanted to make sure was that if there was anything that we got involved in, is that it would be real, it would be achievable, and it would be meaningful. I think one of the other speakers mentioned similar themes. And so the one thing that I've been really encouraged about as I've learned more about Pact is how the idea or these lofty goals that we put out there are actually broken down into very practical steps. And I think that that's critical to achieve what can be done. So what I've enjoyed is the sort of collaboration and the process, and where we're really taking what seems to be a big and far away goal and breaking it down into biteable bites, as someone said, eating the elephant one bite at a time. And I've actually shared the information with Kirsten, we might go into a bit later. Initially thought some of these targets were going to be really difficult, but when you break it down and you really apply the maths to it, you can work out how they can be done. And therefore, I'm quite excited that these targets are actually achievable. And we look forward to being part not only of achieving those targets, but also contributing to the process of developing the roadmap and working with the broader industry to make sure that it happens.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. And that brings an end to our welcoming session. But just to say to all of the members and the new members that we really appreciate your collaboration and your participation, and it wouldn't be possible without you. Now I'll be handing over to Kirsten, who will take us through the launching of the roadmap. Kirsten, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Oliver. And just again, welcome to all our new members and to our founding members who've been key in the development of this roadmap. And thank you, David, completely unscripted, but great intro to our roadmap presentation. So what is our roadmap? So our roadmap is a high-level strategic document where we look per target, what are the outcomes and what are the activities we need to implement in order to reach our 2025 targets. And we have interim milestones at mid-2021 in 2023 so that we can report against progress and monitor and make sure we're on track towards 2025. So this is an exciting journey we're all on together. And I think, as a number of our speakers and Juliet has emphasized, is that we need to keep top of mind why we are involved in the SA Plastics Pact. Why do we all, SA Plastics Pact and beyond our membership, have a vision for a circular economy for plastics? And today, globally, our plastic packaging flows are largely linear. So again, I thank the Ellen MacArthur Foundation for the system diagram. So of the 78 million tons of global production of plastics, we find 40% is landfilled. So our precious resources are ending up in a landfill. That is a costly exercise. There is no need for material that can be used through multiple life cycles to end up in holes in the ground, basically. Sanitary engineered landfills, but in essence, holes in the ground. And then 32%, a shocking 32% leakage into the environment is what we're seeing currently. So clearly we do have a problem, and this is why we're all in this virtual room together. So then if we think in terms of a circular economy for plastics, this is our system diagram. So as you can see, we're dreaming and designing together a system in which our materials don't leak out of the environment, where we maximize the closed loop recycling. So when we think of closed loop recycling, we think of maintaining material in its highest material value that allows multiple life cycles through our economy and has great impact for job creation. Also, if you think of that sort of tighter inner loop in terms of reuse, that's where we see a greater degree of control over the materials that we put into our economy. Again, for maximum lifestyle, we're maintaining material integrity and value. And those materials involved in those reuse cycles then enter into the recycling stream after a number of life cycles or spans through the economy. So this is to keep in mind. And the SA Plastics Pact, we're focusing on packaging. It's part of a circular economy, and it's a really good step and start. So as I've mentioned, it's what we will do to achieve those targets. And when we say we, so a number of people have emphasized collaboration today and the need for all voices, perspectives, expertise, insights. And we are our business members, so those of us who handle plastic packaging within our business operations, or plastics within our business operations, supporting members who are key players in our landscape to influence and change and transform the current system. As Juliet mentioned, we're not looking to tweak the current linear system for micro improvements and efficiencies. We're looking for system change. And you as our supporting members are really key to change that landscape to assist us to achieve our targets. And we must work with key partners beyond the SA Plastics Pact. We're not the only group working towards a circular economy. We need to synergize and work effectively with those beyond us. So our roadmap, as Peter mentioned, we aim to inspire and mobilize. And this is for ourselves as the Pact, as membership, to inspire us towards action, to inspire us towards positive steps towards our 2025 targets, but also to inspire and mobilize role players beyond us as a Pact. In government, business, civil society, academia, we hope to demonstrate action and therefore be a convener of passion and activity towards a circular economy for plastics. Very important to note, and you'll see referenced in our roadmap document, which you'll be able to find online this afternoon, is that we're building on existing initiatives. So we've, in fact, many of our members before the SA Plastics Pact launch have had great success in terms of moving towards a circular economy for plastics. You've made bold commitments, and we can already see evidence of those commitments. We're building on that. We're building on a range of different projects and programs and policies, and we will together work towards the refining and further decisive action towards our targets. So it means that as as a South African landscape, we'll be looking to maximize the benefits of plastic packaging and design out those negatives. So why collaboration? So there's been a number of voices in terms of collaboration, but we've themed our conference The Power of Collaboration for Our Circular Future. And we're a pre-competitive collaboration for action. And what I love about pre-competitive, it means that we actively seek out competitors within sections of the value chain. And the reason we do that, and the reason that we're able to convene, and you've done the same for those within your networks, is that together we've identified that there's huge problems in the way we extract, produce, and use the plastic resources in our economy. We need to change that. We need to value those plastic resources, use them for their maximum value. So we specifically get together a range of different role players. What this means, and for those of you who've been part of our member discussions, our action groups, you can attest to really robust discussion, diverse perspectives. It's going to also require, and already has, we've seen significant investment from membership and those beyond our pact, and it's going to require difficult decisions. We are aiming for system change, and we've already seen, as I've mentioned, some really positive moves in that direction. And Juliet mentioned the Breaking the Plastic Wave report, of which Ellen MacArthur Foundation was a thinking and is a thinking partner. And we are presenting a session on that, so 8th of October, 2 to 4 p.m. This is a plug, please attend if you can. Professor Linda Godfrey of the CSIR and of the Implementation Unit for the Waste RDI Roadmap under the Department of Science and Technology will be presenting on a South African perspective of that Breaking the Plastic Wave report. Linda herself was one of the experts consulted during that report generation for a South African and African specific expertise to feed into that work. And what that work does is consider what are the impacts, as Juliet presented, what are the impacts of us doing nothing? Basically, what does that cost? By 2040, what will our plastic production look like? What will our landfills and environment look like? And what then the impacts on society, on economic development, on human health, on ecosystem health. And it's very clear that the benefits of our circular future far outweigh the efforts, the costs in the now to be able to live in that future. So I think it's a very important message, and we will be inspired and challenged as a South African Plastics Pact as we move towards our targets. So a world where plastic is valued and doesn't pollute the environment is what we're aiming for. So everyone will be familiar with our targets, so I won't spend too much time on this slide. So these are ambitious targets. And as David referenced, as we've started to chop up into bite-sized pieces, our next step, we are far more inspired as a collaborative that we can achieve the 2025 targets. And you'll see something of the roadmap that I'll present now. So at the beginning of our roadmap document, what we've done is we've painted a picture of 2025. What if it's 2025? We've achieved our targets as a pact. What does business operations, what do business operations in that context look like? Where do we see business growth? What do we as a pact look like? What is the outcomes for the recycling value chain? What does the recycling value chain look like in South Africa? And I'll present something of that vision now. So in 2025, businesses value their plastics. They're aware of the impacts of their plastic use, and they've already done much work in redesign and instituting of reuse models, of which the end of life of those reuse models, those containers, are also recyclable. All agreed problematic and unnecessary plastics have been addressed. That's clearly our target 1. All members' packaging is recyclable, reusable, or compostable, our target 2. And also, when we speak about a circular economy, we're speaking about retaining maximum value, as I've said a number of times in this presentation. So as a membership, we are selecting plastic types and formats for improved recycling efficiency and economic benefit. So we're looking for maximum value at end of life of all our plastic packaging products, the material choices, the formats. And that feeds into target 3. An effective recycling rate can be increased and improved if we look at maintaining the quality of our recyclate, the quality of materials at end of life, of the first lifespan, of the first life cycle. And then procurement policies require post-consumer recycled content wherever possible, which is achieving target 4. So you can see in terms of the supply of recycled material as well as the demand into the market, we are feeding into both sides of that loop. Business growth in 2025. So we see the contribution of the recycling sector to GDP has increased, and we're also aiming for the quantity and quality of jobs in the recyclables collection, sorting, and recycling sector to be improved. And I think it's quite key to think of ourselves in this space. So within our organizations, within the Plastics Pact, and the influence we can play in the broader landscape as designers. So let's design a locally specific, a South African circular economy that is inclusive of people, that thinks about the quantity as well as the quality of jobs available in our ecosystem. And that speaks to our targets 3 and 4. So in terms of the recycled sector, there's a growth. So there's a supply, there's an effective recycling, and then there's a demand for inclusion of that post-consumer recycled content. We see new reuse and refill systems instituted, and they're growing in 2025. So it's reducing the amount of single-use packaging that will be, part of which is problematic and unnecessary, more likely to leak into the environment, and there we're hitting targets 1 and 2. So as I've mentioned, we've painted something of a picture and a landscape under these other points, so recycling value chain outcomes. We'd love you to engage with the roadmap, to be inspired by that landscape of 2025, and suggest tweaks, suggest updates, challenge us, say, we need to maybe think a bit bigger. So this is the main heart and the aim of what we're doing. So our key activities will achieve our key outcomes with specific milestones. We have time-bound targets and milestones achieving our targets, and overall our vision for a circular economy for plastics in the packaging space. And 2025 is the initial phase. A circular economy for plastics is much broader than plastic packaging, but this is our point of entry as a Plastics Pact. So in terms of our target 1, taking action on problematic or unnecessary plastic packaging can just be through elimination. It's an unnecessary aspect, through redesign, innovation, or alternative or reuse delivery models. So we have a number of outcomes, and within each outcome we have activities attached to that. I won't be able to, within this presentation, have time to take you through every aspect, but as I've mentioned, the roadmap will be available for download, and you can have a closer look. So in target 1 outcomes, elimination of agreed phase 1 and phase 2 lists is one of our outcomes. Non-members are encouraged to eliminate agreed problematic and unnecessary items and packaging and small plastic products. So we would be publishing our list. It'll be made public. We'll commit to it as a membership. And sorry, Sally, as the action group chair of this target group, Sally will be updating us in the panel discussion after this presentation. So we'll be encouraging the broader landscape. These are the items that we've committed to. This is why. This is our evidence for needing to commit to the elimination or the replacement of such items. And we'll be challenging the broader landscape to do the same. We'll have an improved understanding of environmental impact of material choices. We don't just want to see a transition from a currently problematic plastic to another packaging type which has a greater environmental impact. And we'll also have a greater understanding amongst our membership and the broader landscape of the value of plastic packaging for our economy and particularly for human health. So we'll have a clarity on strategy for problematic materials that cannot be eliminated or replaced in the current market, and we have specific activities related to that. So what is our way forward? And again, we emphasize evidence-based, and we've already identified a number of groups and individuals with key data and projects that can feed into our discussions and our actions, and reduction in plastic packaging where possible. So this is a busy slide, but it gives you a picture of what we are working towards under the first outcome, elimination of agreed phase 1 and phase 2 lists. And Sally will be updating us as to our current action and the sort of interesting insights from our action group on target 1 so far. So you can see we have specific milestones, mid-2021, in 2023, and in 2025, beginning with establishing an action group and agreeing criteria for problematic and unnecessary plastic items, finalization of those lists, integration into our reporting template, agreeing on specific actions. And I think I'm going to leave it here in terms of target 1. We've had so many interesting engagements and inputs from our members this morning, but please do engage with that in greater detail. In terms of our target 2, I think for the next few targets, so Quentin is our timekeeper, I think for the next couple of targets, I'll do a very quick skim through the outcomes per target. We're not going to list the activities under each outcome. So target 2 outcomes, a very busy slide, but you can see target 2, we're aiming for 100% recyclable, reusable or compostable plastic packaging by 2025 amongst our membership. So we're emphasizing best practice guidance on plastic design, an OPR system that is consistent, that is applied and is clear communication to consumers on what is currently recyclable at scale in South Africa, clear position on compostable packaging to help reduce confusion. And what's fantastic about this outcome is during the development phase of our roadmap is Plastics SA's initiative to end plastic waste. The working group on biodegradable and compostable materials already published clear guidance. So we've been able to distribute that through our membership. And we also are engaging with the Compostable Packaging Council, which is newly formed and aims to have a very strictly controlled environment within which compostable packaging can be placed on the market. So there are changes to come. Improved understanding about the issues of recycling format by plastic type. For example, what is the impact of a shrink sleeve on a PET bottle? What is the impact of different closures on the recycling process? Is there a disruption, or can it be recovered for a separate recycling process if necessary? Those sort of questions. Technological developments are incorporated, and we've implemented extended reuse or refill activity. Okay, I can't see, I know there's things happening in the chat, which is great. Please do post questions. I'll be part of the panel later, so we could have further discussions, but as always, you're welcome to contact us independently. Target 3, 70% plastic packaging nationally, primary, secondary, and tertiary, effectively recycled as the input recycling rate. And we note we are not project leads in terms of target 3, but what we do see, so what you see as some of the outcomes here is not that we would be leading on these outcomes. So we have the PROs, all our PROs, PETCO, Polyco, Polystyrene Association, and SAVA are all members of the SA Plastics Pact. These are the powerhouses for this target, but where can we feed in? And we see as these are some of the key outcomes, and discussions are ongoing. How can we as a Pact membership, how can we drive action? How can we assist in implementation? Is it possible that we could leverage funding, for example? Those are the current questions under discussion. Okay, we're running a little bit late, so I'm going to just move on from this slide. We will be having further discussions on these, so please do engage further. And then our target 4, an average 30% recycled content across all plastic packaging. Here we're hitting the demand side. Here's where our recycling industry is going to be producing, or is already producing, quality recycled for inclusion. And we have a big need at the moment to boost the demand side for recyclable material, for recycled material in the country. So we see target 4 as very key, and this action group has been active. And David, as our action group chair, will be updating us in the panel discussion. So we see greater use of recycled plastics as an outcome aided by improved specification quality and grades. And again, the SA Plastics Pact here is not particularly lead in those improved specification quality and grades, but we can add value. We can boost the work that is being done and will be done. Increased demand for recycled plastic in existing and new packaging. This is us, this is Pact. This is us making a commitment to include recycled content in our plastic packaging. Improved understanding of the business case for using recycled content. We find a number of myths, barriers, benefits, and we're working with WWF and SAPRO in their Swedish EPA-funded project to particularly understand what are the barriers to inclusion of recycled content, and therefore how can we stimulate action to remove those barriers. Increased capacity of plastics recycling, etc. So I think I do have to move along a bit, just checking my time. So thank you. Please note, this roadmap is a living document. This is our first iteration. We will be revising it constantly. And in fact, we are boldly challenging our members, inspiring our members and the broader ecosystem. In the 8th of October, after the Breaking the Plastic Wave discussion, We're going to break into 4 thinking groups, 1 per target. We're going to consider the Breaking the Plastic Wave report. What does this mean in terms of our collective action? So for ourselves within our own organizations, what are we currently doing that feeds into the recommendations of the Breaking Plastic Wave report? Where do we need to challenge ourselves and increase our ambitions? And then we'll be looking at our outcomes per target and asking ourselves, is there something missing in these list of outcomes? Is there something else do we need to be doing? Where do we need to be partnering effectively beyond ourselves? So in a brave move, in a bold move, 2 days after launch of our roadmap, please, let's discuss, let's improve 2 days on. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thanks, Kirsten, for the roadmap. I think we should move swiftly into the next session, which will be introducing our action groups and as well as our steering committee. I know we said that we would have a 5-minute break, but just in terms of keeping time so we don't overrun, I'm going to recommend that we don't do the next 5 minutes as a break. But if you would like to run off to the kitchen to grab yourself a beverage or to a quick body break, please do so, and then hurry back again, because we're going to move right into the next session. I'll begin in introducing the next part of our panel. Kevin, Johan, Sally, Don, Rowan, and David, please prepare to take up your videos and your audio. We will be moving into the session now where we start looking at the action groups. The action groups is where all the hard work happens. I'm not going to introduce each target because Kirsten has already done so. But let's start off with our steering committee. Kevin, if you can provide us with an overview of that, the steering committee, what it does. You have 5 minutes, and please stick to the time frame. Oliver is going to be brutal. You still on mute, Kevin? Over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much, Quentin. I do apologize for the background. I have an Apple, and maybe that's the problem. I've really struggled to get the background, so please apologize. Kirsten, I do promise that by next Thursday, I'll have sorted this problem out. I didn't expect to encounter this. So my apologies for the background not being appropriate. So we'll just, I guess from the steering committee, and just good morning to all of you. And you know, really is a privilege to be able to give you a little bit of a brief feedback on the activities of the steering committee of the Recycling Plastics Pact. But most importantly, you know, welcome to all the new members. It's an incredible job that Green Cape, under the guidance of Kirsten, has done an amazing job in recruiting new members, to getting people to support what this Plastic Pact stands for. So thank you very much, and welcome to all of you. Really look forward to all the inputs, all the collaborative inputs. I think this is going to be the theme of what I'm going to talk about, and it's been mentioned by all the speakers before, is this issue around collaboration. So the first official meeting of the steering committee was held on the 3rd of February 2020. And it seems like a lifetime ago, as we've all faced our own individual, societal, governmental, and business challenges brought about by COVID-19. But despite that, it's an unbelievable testament to the commitment of the Secretariat, of the members of the Plastic Pact, to have achieved what we've achieved to date. Peter referred to some of this. Kirsten obviously has spoken a lot about the roadmap, and people coming after me will talk about other issues that this this pact has done in the most difficult circumstances. The steering committee, out of interest to all of you, and so it's a little bit of background, consists of representatives from brand owners, retailers, converters, recyclers, government, and NGOs. A healthy cross-section of the plastics value chain, and really important for all of us to always reflect back on what the purpose and the vision of the Recycling Plastics Pact is. This has been a great theme of mine, as being given the opportunity to chair the steering committee, was to always bring us back to what is the purpose and the objectives of the South African Plastics Pact. So just to reflect on those, to support government and industry to deliver a circular economy for plastics, undertaking the implementation of solutions relevant to the South African context. To achieve this stated vision and objective, the following goals were identified by the steering committee in its framework: to create a platform to convene stakeholders in the plastics value chain, to support cross-sector collaboration and improve environmental and societal outcomes, to stimulate a circular plastics economy in South Africa, to unlock socio-economic opportunities in the plastics waste sector. And the vision of the South African Plastics Pact is an economy where plastic is valued and never becomes waste. Therefore, the Plastics Pact will work towards a common vision shared by all national and regional initiatives in the Global Plastics Pact Network, which is a project of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And Juliet spoke very well about that and the global collaboration. So the steering committee serves the Plastics Pact and is therefore aligned with the objectives and the purpose of the Pact. The steering committee exists to provide input and guidance to the Secretariat on the focus and strategic direction of the Pact. Its role is not simply to agree on new membership and agree on budgets and the like. This committee needs to operate as a collective and needs to take collective accountability for the performance of the South African Plastics Pact. The committee's terms of reference and operating framework are in the process of being agreed and finalized, and a workshop on collaborative governance structures was postponed earlier in the year due to COVID-19, but will now be run in November 2020. Collaborative governance and collective accountability are essential concepts for the sustainable functioning of the steering committee and of the South African Plastics Pact. Members of the steering committee are encouraged to leave their organizational constraints behind when debating and considering the purpose and vision of the South African Plastics Pact. It is, after all, the role of the committee to serve the Pact, not the individual organizations that they may represent. This slight nuance in the role of the committee is critical to its effectiveness. Hence the need for a workshop on collaborative governance and collective accountability. So various action groups have been set up and have done a lot of work over the past 7 months, and we'll be hearing a bit about that. Kirsten gave the roadmap, which again is an incredible achievement over a short period of time. And the Secretariat, which obviously is Green Cape, provides an incredible guidance. I'll be 30 seconds, if that's okay. So the Secretariat for Green Cape provides excellent guidance and leadership to the steering committee. In closing, it's important to reflect on why numerous initiatives involving different stakeholders have failed. These failures are often due to a lack of trust, self-interest, and a lack of transparency. We cannot afford to fail the South African Plastics Pact, and therefore the role of the steering committee is to ensure that we as individuals in a collective have to a greater or lesser extent acknowledge that maybe we've played a part in the problems that we face from a plastics point of view in the country. We can, once we've acknowledged that, we can collectively move forward with courage and vulnerability as a collective to ensure that we fulfill the purpose of the South African Plastics Pact. And I believe with the members of the steering committee that we have right now, we have such courage and vulnerability. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin. Johan, let's move swiftly into you.
Hi, morning everyone. I also have a Mac, so for some reason I couldn't get one of those funky backgrounds. I am the chairman of the finance subcommittee of the steering committee, and the reasons for the existence of this is basically, as Peter said in his presentation, funding is always crucial for anything that we do, well, in life, but also specifically in something like this. And other than that, it's also obviously always good corporate governance to look after where the money is coming from and where it's going. Feroz very quickly pointed out quite early in the process that there needs to be some form of review of funding and funders and whether they are in line with the targets and the vision of the Plastics Pact. We also assist with budgeting and allocation of the available funds. And our main reason initially was to make sure that Green Cape remains fully funded to achieve the targets, because when we initially started, we didn't have enough members and there weren't enough funding. So we had to get over that hurdle as soon as possible to make sure that Green Cape gets paid and that they do everything that we want them to do. And then other than that, we also apply for additional funds in general and also for specific projects. Some of the activities that we've undertaken so far, Green Cape started off with the budget, which was basically the high road budget. And then after a while, due to a lack of fees, it became the middle road budget. And then it actually turned at the low road, and it became quite imperative for us to make sure that we get a couple more members, make sure everybody pays, and see if we can find some other funding elsewhere. We're also involved in the analysis and the shortlisting and the recruitment of additional signatories. Kirsten did some math there and showed us that each new member creates quite a lot of admin, and therefore the contribution that can be applied to the group activities is not always as much as we'd hoped for. And then also we developed a funding request assessment tool. So should any of the targets or the committees or the subcommittees or whoever else need funding, then the assessment tool and the process will be used for that purpose. And we also determined the year 2 membership fee. During this process, Peter and RAP also helped us get some further funding from the Marva Foundation. And we also had a secret admirer contribute 1 million rand funding extra to the Pact to assist with overcoming some of the funding issues. If we look at the way forward, I think as a subcommittee, we will have to focus on finding funding for a strong marketing agency for the Pact, so that there's somebody who can put all their attention towards recruiting more members, and also to dramatically increase the visibility of the Pact to customers. As we know, customers drive brands and action, so we really want to get outside of just this group and start becoming a bit more visible to consumers. That's basically that.
Thank you, Johan, and thank you for keeping time. Sally-Ann, let's head off to the action group target 1.
Thanks, Quentin. I need a secret admirer to donate 1 million rand, please. That's great news. So I'm Sally-Ann Kazna, I represent the African Circular Economy Network, and assisting Kirsten as the chair for Target 1. As she mentioned, Target 1 is to take action to eliminate unnecessary and problematic plastic packaging. And the current action group includes a broad range of members from retailers, brand owners, restaurants, manufacturers, and PROs, all working together. We've had many insights shared from international partners as well. So thank you to Peter from RAP and Juliet from Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which have assisted to frame the criteria and thinking around the items to include for the phase 1 and for subsequent phases. We're currently looking at potential quick wins for the phase 1 list of items. And we've had a number of meetings and workshops to draft a list, which is actually still being finalized. And I'll run you through a couple of these just to give you an idea. But again, still very much under discussion and will be finalized quite soon. And these will still be presented to members for comment and finalization. At the last meeting, we got closer to this target, and it is hoped that the first phase items will be finalized very shortly so that we can actually start implementation. It's not been an easy task thus far, as the complexities of the current system have been brought to light, including health concerns raised by COVID. However, many of these concerns are founded on, and I'm going to say it, perceptions and ongoing fear narrative. Reuse models are possible and are one of the ways that certain problematic plastic packaging can be eliminated. Therefore, we will need to press on and find ways to implement these alternative models. One of the main challenges at the moment that seems to be coming up is cost. Unfortunately, this is still a main challenge and driver within the corporate space, and there's a real need to continually challenge this, as the only factor for consideration as cost in this instance is only limited to the corporate direct cost, which never really considers the external cost on society and the environment. What I'm hoping for with the Pact is that the corporates, and I use the term very loosely because we need to obviously engage on this, will start to view this more holistically and see that decisions made only using cost as a deciding factor will have a negative impact on their brand. This is a much bigger need now to consider in terms of the whole picture, and I'm glad that systemic change has been used throughout the conversation this morning. Just to give you a little snapshot, in terms of target 1, the list of items that we brought onto the table at first was about 45. That's a lot of items, and it included plastic packaging from the rigids to the flexibles, as well as non-packaging items. In terms of the current list, we've tried to bring this down for phase 1 to a more manageable list of items of the quick wins, but even that has been challenging, and hopefully, as I mentioned, we will be able to bring a shorter list through to you. Some of the conversations have been around the barrier bags for fruit and veg or at the till points, fruit and veg stickers, cable ties, tea bags in terms of the reinforcing mesh, plastic straws, and plastic stirrers, the disposable cutlery, cotton buds with plastic stems, lollipop sticks, etc. So, and those are ones that you probably would expect to see on these types of lists. But as I mentioned, we are still finalizing and still having many debates around many of these items. So thank you for the time, and look forward to finalizing the first phase list. Thanks.
Thank you, Sally Ann. And now for the Target 2 Action Group, Don and Ruan, you guys prepared and ready?
Who's going first? Is it me or Don?
Either. Seen your videos on, go for it.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. I'm Ruan Snyman. I'm a sustainability manager at Pick n Pay. And I'm the chair of the On-Pack Recycling Label Action Group. So essentially the objective of the OPRL Action Group is the development and implementation of consistent, clear and accurate OPRLs to support the recycling of all packaging material types in South Africa. Now it's important to take note that this work forms part of the Plastics Pact, but we're not just focused on plastics, we're focused on all the different packaging material types, from metal to paper to cardboard, etc. Now our objective is to increase recycling rates by making it easier for consumers to understand what they should do with their packaging, while simultaneously providing enough information for recyclers and informal collectors to differentiate between different material types. The work in the action group also includes the development of the necessary tools and guidelines that will aid in the consistent implementation of OPRLs across member organizations. Basically, we're doing all this work in the other action groups and with all the targets and commitments to make packaging more recyclable, but ultimately we need to be able to communicate clearly to customers and individuals to ensure that the packaging ends up in the recycling stream and not in the environment or in the landfill. And that is the purpose of the OPRL Action Group. Okay, thanks very much. That's me.
Thanks, everyone. Don, do you have anything to add?
Okay, so I don't know if you can see me or hear me.
Yes, we can see you through an aurora borealis. We definitely can hear you.
I don't have a Mac. The only thing Mac about me is in my surname. I do have a lack of technical competence when it comes to following instructions on how to put a SA Plastics Pact logo behind your face. So that didn't work out well with me. I just want to add a little bit to what Ruan was saying, that the the method of how we keep our members and even non-members informed with regard to how we update and keep this live and living document functional, so that all brand owners and retailers and our members can refer to it if they have a specific packaging type, to simply flip through it and say, this packaging is made of this, and therefore it is recycled in South Africa, and therefore it gets the recycle OPRL. So we're busy formulating what that tool will be like, and whether we should include it, and we sort of still debating whether we should include it to everybody across South Africa, members and non-members alike. But it's basically to finalize the tool, or do we do what they do in the UK and have a special group of people specifically working on the recycling stream and how it evolves in South Africa. And that's what the additional arm to the OPR sector is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. And now we'll move to the final action group, David.
Thanks, Quentin. Yeah, thank you very much. I think Group 4 has one of the biggest challenges about increasing recycled content. And I think to start with, I think sort of the context to consider is that recycling value chains need, in order for them to be sustainable, you really need to balance three things. You need to balance the collection of material, the capacity to recycle the material, and ultimately the demand for the material. And I think that obviously Plastics Pact covers collection, but capacity and demand are really where the sort of Group 4 action group starts. As many of you will know, some plastics are currently collected in relatively high numbers, and others aren't. And largely that's because those that aren't collected aren't valuable. In other words, they have nowhere to go. So increasing recycled content is critical to achieving some of the other targets, in particular collection, and equally targets 1 and 2, then obviously feed into target 4 as well. So I think what we've done in target 4 is we've really tried to start with a snapshot of where we are as an industry. That has had some challenges, and I think one of the challenges that we've encountered is really understanding exactly how much material is used in the market for specific applications. So I think people understand the broader context of plastics and how much total PET or total polyprop or total HDPE. But in order to solve this conundrum, we've got to really understand how much is used in different applications. And getting that detailed information has been quite difficult, but I have to say, I think we're making good progress there. What we're trying to identify in order to break this target down is effectively what are the top 10 or 12 uses of plastics within our membership base. So in other words, what are the big pockets of plastic use, understanding where we are in terms of recycled content on each of those big pockets, and then working out what we could practically get to by 2025 in each of those areas. And understand that in some areas, the technology, so let's say there's probably three barriers that we see at the moment to recycled content. The first is acceptance, and sometimes there's some technology issues, but sometimes it's just a matter of brands being willing to consider recycled content. The second is capacity, and on different materials, we either have we have bottlenecks in capacity, and others we have excess capacity. So capacity, as I said, it has to be balanced. And the third is about cost. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest challenge, because what we see globally is that increasingly recycled content is trading at a considerable premium to virgin material. And that's just been exacerbated by the collapse in the oil price and the reduction in demand for virgin plastic globally. I think expensive recyclate is going to be a reality that we're going to face going to 2025. It's unlikely to change. And that's also called out in the Breaking the Plastic Wave report. So I think that those are some of the things that we're going to have to look at. And I encourage everyone who's listening to this, please don't think that using recycled content is going to save you lots of money. Using recycled content must be done because of our adherence to the need to drive a circular economy. The good news is, I think the work that we've done, we are getting there. We still got a few information gaps, But the preliminary findings suggest that the target of 30% by 2025 can be achieved. We'll be identifying the areas in which we need to address any of those barriers, so whether it's technology, acceptance, capacity, or cost. And I believe that through this, we can achieve it. I think we're still going to have some problem areas. We're still going to have some materials with zero recycled content in 2025, but hopefully through better packaging design and through the work of some of the other groups, some of those materials in terms of volume can be reduced to the point where they don't undermine our overall target. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And now I think we should move into our Q&A session, and the Q&A session is for all the members to have an opportunity to ask the action group chairs any questions they would like to know. We had already a couple of questions in the chat, one by Marlene in terms of the problematic plastics and how's it being classified, but I think that has been addressed already in the chat, and a statement made by Louis from Arrow in terms of the involvement of the reclaimers in the pact, and I see that as a statement and also addressed by Salim in the chat. So please raise your hands and also put any questions within the chat. And as you guys are typing and thinking of what you want to ask the chairs, I'm going to hand over quickly to Kirsten, which just wants to give a quick update on the roadmap that you forgot to put in.
Okay, thank you so much, Quentin. So Nick, at the end of this session, is going to be placing a link to our roadmap in the chat function. And I just have to confess to an oversight in my roadmap presentation, is that the RAP team, so Nora and Peter, Nora both in the videos, hi. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the foundational work on our roadmap and the assistance with the refining and developing the roadmap that we see today. Nora and Peter put in many hours of work on that, and we really do appreciate your insights and your wisdom and working with us closely as a Pact team. It's been very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kirsten. Thank you.
Perfect, great. I've not seen any questions or hands raised. Oliver, do you see anything? Maybe I'm not looking really correctly.
I've not seen any hands raised, but people are welcome to raise their hand or to ask questions.
If nothing is coming up in the next couple of seconds, I'm going to say that I'm happy to conclude on the session and then make a couple of statements before closing the session. Peter has his hand raised. Peter, over to you.
Hi, Quentin. I couldn't go without someone giving a question. You know, as a moderator, I know that's what you live for. It's really just an observation, really, and just to back up David's point about Target 4. And certainly, we can't say too much because it's going to be announced next month formally. But when we do announce the progress on the UK Plastics Pact 1 year on result, the message about the demand for recycled content being led and growing because of plastics pacts, because of the targets, because of the commitment by brands, regardless of the fluctuation of the virgin price. As you say, the quite big delta between virgin and recycled content at certain times and certain grades. It's important that we look at the long term and look at the viability of the plastics as a sector, because if we just dip in and out of it and don't create the demand and create the right landscape for investment in recyclers, then they won't be here in weeks and months and years to come. So it's a responsibility, and we've certainly seen that in the UK, is that brands and retailers are not backing down from their commitment to drive up recycled content in their packaging, primary, secondary and tertiary, which is what we are really wanting and looking for and hoping that other packs will emulate as well.
Thank you, Peter, for that statement. I don't see any other hands being raised. Kirsten, then I'm going to move to make closing statements and then close this session. And although we were a little bit behind, we have caught up in time, and everyone can brush off after this to have a great lunch. The nice thing about COVID, it's generally a home lunch all the time. So basically from what I've seen today is that we've heard from the global context how the SA Plastic Pact fits in with the network around the world, and we also have heard about the growth of this network. So we can really see that we are not alone in terms of this journey that we have taken on. We've also heard acknowledgement and testament of the benefits of the South African Plastic Pact from the existing founding members as well as the new members, which is now the SA Plastics Pact has grown by an additional 9 organizations, and as well as the developments of the roadmap. The roadmap is providing us with the direction and also very important stops along the way that keeps us cognizant of where we're going. And then we also heard from the action groups, and this is really where the hard work happens, with the chairpersons leading and keeping the members accountable. It's us as members which creates the pact, and us as members which actually brings the diversity. And the diversity is not only in organizations, but also are the people that are joining and bringing different input and ideas and solutions and insights and challenges and barriers to make a robust solution as we go forward. This is really important to ensure a stronger collaboration throughout the Plastic Pact. I personally, as well as from my organization, Polyco, we're looking really forward to working with you in these action groups. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and there's going to be still more discussions to be had, but having representation across the value chain is really important and also makes me excited. And one more important thing to note that someone mentioned, I think it was Kirsten, about cake. It's a celebration. We should all be proud of what we have achieved so far, but this is not a relaxation, as we still need to be proud about the work we gained to achieve. So there's still a lot of more hard work to go ahead. And then just in terms of what's coming up, on the 8th, there's a continuation of the conference with Professor Linda Godfrey. Kirsten, if you can just put up the slide, with Professor Linda Godfrey providing us with an overview of the Breaking the Plastic Wave report and the context for South Africa. And then after that, it's going to be the Plastic Pact members again. Once we have heard from Professor Linda Godfrey, to take that information and contextualize it for the Pact again. What does the information mean for us Pact? And then we'll be brainstorming and defining how we're going to go forward. So I would just like to thank everybody for attending today and joining us in seeing what we have done and where we are going for the Plastic Pact. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much all. If you can stay online, we'll play a couple of videos, but thank you so much for attending.
Yeah, stay a little bit online to see the videos, all the professional people giving their inputs. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, team.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
For the African Circular Economy Network, being a member provides insight into the complexities around the transition from an industry perspective, but also the opportunities for the African Circular Economy Network to participate and assist to demystify some of the challenges around packaging alternatives. It's a way to engage meaningfully about what it truly means to be circular.
Contributing with our circular expertise and African expertise and experience to the success of the Plastic Pact and assisting it to meet its set targets within the defined and publicly communicated timeframe.
Hello, I'm Cherise Goss and I lead the team at PETCO, who is a committed supporting member of the South African Plastics Pact, where it's possible to find like-minded individuals who have a common goal. This is to strive to make plastics reusable, recyclable or compostable, and to encourage the use of recycled content, all to drive a circular economy in South Africa and a relevant plastics economy, where action is taken against problematic plastics. As it takes a chain of businesses to place a product on the market, what we are aiming to achieve here requires a systemic change, and I feel, from a PET perspective specifically, that we are starting to plateau. So I'm hoping this collaboration will add further impetus to the work we have been doing under our voluntary extended producer responsibility model since the early 2000s.
The South African Plastics Pact is where the rubber hits the road. It's where relevant stakeholders join forces to agree the plan and to execute it. It's inspiring, powerful, and challenging.
As a founding signatory to the SA Plastics Pact, we are committed to work towards the vision of the circular economy where plastics is valued and never becomes waste. Through the SA Plastics Pact, SPAR will be able to collaborate with government and industry to develop and deliver solutions relevant to South Africa. The environmental burden of plastics is not a problem we can solve on our own.
The Spur Corporation brands are on a journey to end the use of single-use takeaway plastic packaging within their restaurants. The sustainability and procurement teams are working on strategies and researching feasible alternatives in order to achieve this goal. I'm Jo Stead, Sustainability Manager for Spur Corporation. We are excited to be one of the founding members of the South African Plastic Pact and to be able to access this collaborative platform to reach the 4 ambitious targets set out by the Pact. If the activities during the COVID lockdown is anything to go by, the Pact is already proving to be highly efficient and proactive.
WWF was one of the project partners together with the South African Plastic Recycling Organization and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and RAP, who initiated and developed the South African Plastics Pact during 2019. We were key in developing and recruiting industry partners and members for this Plastic Pact. And it also fits well into our program where our strategy is to engage with industry around finding solutions and finding systemic solutions to the plastic pollution challenge that we are facing.
Good day, everybody. My name is Eric Leongson, and I'm the Group Head of Sustainability at Distel. Distel is one of the largest producers of wine, ciders, and spirits in Africa, and we are proud to be a founding member of the SA Plastic Pact. Often people see circular economy as an aside activity, but in reality, it needs to be integrated with your business strategy. After all, doing good is good for business. What is so great about the SA Plastic Pact is that it brings a diverse set of stakeholders together in a safe and non-competitive space. At Distel, we're aiming for many voices, but one message. We believe that to win with the SA Plastic Pact targets and make a significant difference, we all need to work together and collaborate. No one company or entity can tackle this challenge alone. Through the SA Plastic Pact and the platform it creates, we can learn from one another and address these challenges we face in achieving our targets while also supporting SMEs and the informal sector. We are most grateful for this collaborative approach.
Thank you so much all. We will be putting these member videos on YouTube. Your engagement and attention and continued passion is so much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.